Hi everyone, thanks for joining today. This is Tony Hughes. First thing I want to do is go over packaging a couple applications just to demonstrate some of the compatibility we have, especially for legacy applications. The first one we're going to cover today is this nice old ArcView GIS application that was published in 1996 for Windows 95, Windows NT, Windows 3.1, and some older Windows versions. Obviously, with the ransomware stuff that happened last year, a lot of people were still actually running XP, which was much to our surprise. All these older legacy applications started coming out of the woodwork. People wanted to get them at least to Windows 7, if not to Windows 10. Without having source code for a lot of them, a lot of them have installers that just won't run on Windows 7 or Windows 10. Sometimes you get stuck and there's not a lot of good options for bringing that application forward. This particular application will not install on Windows 10. It will install on Windows 7 32-bit, so we're going to go capture it over there, and then we're going to be able to deliver it to a Windows 10 platform. So first, just to show you the compatibility issue here, I'm going to go to my Windows 10 system, and I'm going to open up the installer for this application, and we're going to see what happens when we try to install it on Windows 10. Let's drill down here. This is just, you can actually go to that same website I just showed you a minute ago if you want to try this yourself. This is the installer for ArcView GIS 3.0 from 1996. Try to install it on Windows 10. You get this nice incompatibility message from Windows 10. Doesn't really tell you a lot of details. However, if you dig around, really the heart of the issue here is the fact that this has two issues. One is it has a 16-bit installer. It's actually installing a 32-bit application, but the installer itself is 16-bit, so it will run on Windows 10. It also has some fonts that are in an older format that aren't supported by the more modern operating systems. We'll see that in just a second. So let's jump over here to our studio system on Windows 7 32-bit. I'm just going to open up the Cloudpaging Studio, and we're going to create a new project here for ArcView GIS 3.0. And here I'm just defining the information about the application. This was released in 1996, so it's been a long time, I'm sure, since anyone has tried to use this application. One thing I'm going to do here is set all the compatibility for all the different OS versions. I'm also going to turn off encryption and compression, and this is just to speed up the demo a little bit. All those tasks take a little bit of time if we compress and encrypt this application once we've packaged it. If you want more information on exactly what those do, please feel free to contact us after the webinar. We can go into more details about the encryption and compression. All right. Now I'm just going to capture this application. I'm just going to run that same installer. Oh, sorry, I got to save the project first. I'm just going to run that same installer we were just looking at a minute ago here, but this time I am on the Windows 7 32-bit system. And what our capture process is going to do here is actually it's going to watch what this installer is going to do as it's installing. So it's going to see, what assets it's putting on the system, other things it's touching on the system. Is going to monitor that all real time for us. So as opposed to a lot of other products that are going to do a before and after snapshot of the system to get that delta, we're actually going to see what that system is or what that installer is doing in real time and capture that information. And that helps us get some things like files that were temporary during the installation process that may be of importance later on, may not be as well, but at least we'll know that they're there. So this is just the standard installer for ArcView GIS. I'm just going to go next all the way through this. It's a fairly lightweight application, so it doesn't take a lot of time to install. For those of you, the guys that were around in the 90s in IT world, you'll enjoy this nice Windows 3.1, Windows 95-ish look installer here. It's going to finish installing all its shortcuts. And then this one actually, it has like an Alt-Tab kind of issue here with the display. So after it's done installing, it doesn't actually prompt us to complete the install. We're going to have to Alt-Tab to get to that final window. And that's just part of this installer on Windows 7 32-bit. This doesn't have anything to do with our product. I do see one question here. Someone's asking what's installed on the capture machine prior to capturing ArcView. Actually nothing, it's just a clean Windows 7 system. It doesn't have anything else installed on there other than our Studio product. All right, this install's fairly complete at this point. I'm going to Alt-Tab to get to our final window here. I'm not going to reboot it this time. And then we've captured all the assets now for ArcView GIS. If we go through here, we can see this particular application doesn't have any services and drivers. It doesn't have any startup parameters. It does have some fonts, and these are those fonts I was talking about that are incompatible with some of the newer operating systems here. So I'm just going to exclude those. They actually didn't get installed on the system. The files are actually missing. It just installed the registry keys. Everything else here, we got the registry keys and the files. I'm going to drill down here and mark the main binary for this application, which is arcview.exe, as our command line. Our product uses that for a variety of reasons. If you want more information on that, feel free to contact us afterwards, and we can dive into that. Now our product is complete. We've finished capturing it. I'm just going to save our project here. Then we're going to cloudify this, which is what puts it into our format. It notes here that there were a few files that were used during the installation process that are no longer on the system, so those are some of those transient files. If we did need those for some reason, we could go try to grab those during the installation process and then put them back in the package. Usually those are things that are temporary and unneeded, but occasionally we might need to grab those. All right, so now we've captured ArcView GIS. It's created our package here. I'm going to take that package. I'm going to copy that over to my repository. This is just a file share I've got mounted on my Cloudpaging server repository. So now we've uploaded that to the server. I'm going to go over here to the server, and basically I'm just going to grant access to one of my users. I'm going to add this application to our server and then allow one of our users to use it, and they're going to use it on Windows 10. So something that wasn't possible to install on Windows 10, they're going to be able to use our product to virtualize that onto Windows 10 and use it. So first step here, we're going to go into our server. And I'm going to go over to Applications, and we're going to add the ArcView GIS application. So in this drop down here, it's going to show me everything that's in my repository that hasn't already been added to the server. Here we have the ArcView GIS that we just added. Publish that on our server and add a Cloudpaging license for it. The Cloudpaging license has a lot of options here. I'm not going to go over them all on the webinar, but if you do have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to us at a later time, and we can dive into all the details of what all these options are. All right, so now we have ArcView GIS available on our Cloudpaging server. This means it's available for people to CloudPage. What I'm going to do now is grant one of our users access to that application through the Enterprise portal. So I'm logging into our Enterprise portal product here. We have this user, John Numecent. I'm going to give him access. The first thing I have to do is let the Enterprise portal know that the ArcView GIS application exists. So I'm going to add that to my Enterprise portal. Once it's added there, I can link the John Numecent principal to it, and that will grant him access to that application through a self-service portal, or if you're using an alternate thing like we have a group policy that ships with the product, it could deploy it through group policy or whatever other mechanism you're using to deploy the Cloudpaging applications. All right, so now back here, we're back at our Windows 10 system. This is our Enterprise portal. Just going to refresh the list here so the user can see the new application he has access to, and here's our ArcView GIS. So this is the same system a minute ago. I wasn't able to run the installer for ArcView GIS. And now I'm going to be able to CloudPage this application to the same system, and this user is going to be able to run this application on Windows 10. Okay, so ArcView GIS is ready. From a user perspective at this point, everything looks natively installed. So here, if I go to the Start menu, we're going to see that we have all the ArcView GIS version 3 information here, and I can go ahead and I can run that application. It's going to run natively on this environment. So from a user perspective, once it's located there, it runs normally. And as we saw on that original description of this product that we looked at, it does have a license key. That license key is on that website. This is not some license key that I have. It's publicly available on this website, so I'm just going to copy that. Enter that here, and then we're off and running with ArcView GIS. All right, so this is an example of how we can help get some of those legacy applications that just won't run on Windows 10, how we can move them over to Windows 10. And we do have a blog on our website. If you're interested in what we can bring to Windows 10, what we can't, just go to our website, look for Windows 10, and you'll find that blog.